The lie that killed a nation. Ironsi's son finally breaks the oath of silence. There are stories so heavy that entire nations are built on the ruins of their silence. Stories so dangerous that for decades, powerful men hoped they would never resurface. Stories so painful that families involved learned to swallow their tears quietly and pretend that history had moved on. But history does not move on. It waits, it watches, and eventually it returns. Today, it returns through the voice of Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi, the son of Nigeria's first military head of state, a man murdered in one of the broadest and most politically charged moments in Nigeria's history. A man who, knowing he might die, told his son, "My son, if I am killed, do not avenge my deaths." This is not just a father's dying message. This is a prophecy, a warning, a command soaked in fear, foresight, and the kind of wisdom only a man facing betrayal can possess. But to understand why Ironsi said those words, you must understand why he was killed. And to understand why he was killed, you must return to the night Nigeria changed forever. January 15th, 1966. A night of gunfire, a night of confusion, a night that would shape ethnic suspicion for the next 60 years. Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu, Northern by birth, radical by ideology, led a group of young officers to overthrow a government they believed had drowned Nigeria in corruption. Their mission was bold but clear: stop political chaos, end regional manipulation, reset the country, free Chief Obafemi Awolowo from Calabar prison, whom they believed was the only leader capable of saving Nigeria. The coup had Igbo officers, but also had Yoruba officers, and even Northern officers. It was not, and historians agree on this, an Igbo coup. It was a nationalist coup that failed. But failure is dangerous. Failure becomes a story becomes propaganda, and propaganda becomes poison. Northern leaders died during that coup. Emotions took over. And before the sun rose, a deadly rumor began to spread. The Igbos planned a tribal takeover. It was false, but that falsehood moved faster than truths. It spread from barracks to beer parlors, from streets to newspapers, from soldiers to civilians. It created a storm of anger that no one, not even Ironsi, could stop. General Johnson Thomas Omonnakwe Aguiyi-Ironsi didn't plan the coup. He didn't support it. He was dragged into power because he was the most senior officer left standing. He wanted unity. He wanted peace. He tried to hold Nigeria together. But how do you unite a country that has already chosen what to believe? How do you lead a nation where your ethnicity is already your guilt? How do you calm a region that is grieving and angry? Ironsi didn't know he was walking into a trap, but his killers already believed the lie. They were preparing. July 29th, 1966, the night the earth shook in Ibadan, the night royalty died, the night bitterness took command. A group of northern officers staged a counter coup. The mission was simple: avenge the deaths of their leaders. Execute General Ironsi sent a message to the Igbo people. Accounts from military archives and eyewitness testimonies are consistent. Major T.Y. Danjuma, young, fierce, burning with rage, played a central role in capturing Ironsi. Ironsi and his hosts, Lieutenant Colonel Adekunle Fajiyi, were dragged out, beaten, humiliated, and eventually murdered. The question is not whether Danjuma was involved. The question is why the nation pretended not to know so many years. When the son of the man you killed grows up, when he becomes a man, when he learns the truth, Would you blame him for seeking revenge? But Ironsi's last words changed everything. Thomas was young, too young to understand politics, too young to understand the weight of hatred, but old enough to remember the trembling voice of his father, saying, "If I am killed, do not avenge my deaths." For decades, Thomas carried that burden like a cross. He watched those who killed his father rise in Nigeria. He watched them become powerful. He watched them sit in government, in uniforms, in agbada. Yet, he never sought revenge. The man with every reason to hate became the man preaching peace. But his silence did not heal Nigeria, because the real wound was deeper. After Ironsi's assassination, the country spiraled into chaos. The massacres of Easterners in the north became widespread. Men were slaughtered, women raped, children hunted in their own country. The East saw no future in Nigeria. On May 30th, 1967, Ojukwu declared the Republic of Biafra. The war that followed lasted 30 months. It claimed over 3 million lives, mostly children. A war caused by a misunderstood coup, a manipulated narrative, a revenge mission, a lie Nigeria never corrected. When Nigeria calls Nzogu's coup an Igbo coup, it is not just a historical mistake. It is a political weapon, a justification for crimes, a narrative that still shapes elections, alliances, and prejudice today. So when Thomas speaks now, it is not just a merry family story. It is a national earthquake. He is not talking about politics. He is talking about a history Nigeria has lied about for 58 years. He is asking, if the coup that killed my father was not tribal, why was my father killed in tribal revenge? If the coup was aimed at freeing Awolowo, why did Nigeria turn it into ethnic hate? If I, the son of murdered head of state, can forgive, why is Nigeria still living inside a lie? These questions are explosive. They take the foundation of the Nigerian story. Because if we accept the truth, then the nation must admit something uncomfortable. Nigeria did not kill Ironsi. A lie did. A lie powerful enough to trigger revenge. Revenge powerful enough to trigger war. War devastating enough to scare generations. Finally, Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi lived his life honoring his father's message. No revenge, no hatred, no blood. But now he asks Nigeria, boldly, painfully, emotionally, if I forgive my father's killers, why can't Nigeria forgive itself? And that is the question that will divide comment sections, challenge historians, provoke politicians, and shake the conscience of a nation still living in the shadow of 1966. This is Chinik TV. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe for the latest.